Hello, I'm Ted, a geotechnical systems engineer here at GDS Instruments, and today I'm going to run you through how to prepare a sample for electromechanical dynamic cyclic simple shear machine, otherwise known as the EMDCSS. Sample sizes for the EMDCSS range from 50 to 150 mm. For the purpose of today's demonstration, I'm going to show you how to prepare a sample using a 70 mm size base pedestal with the porous disc already screwed on. I have our membrane, 2 O-rings which will be compressed using our 2 confining rings. We also have the bolts to help screw down the pedestal onto our EMDCSS machine. I have a vacuum former along with a silicone O-ring. This helps provide suction. I have our low friction retaining rings. I have our soil sample along with a tamper. I have a set of Allen keys, a ruler, a caliper, as well as a brush. The first thing you need to do is place the bolts into the 4 corners of the pedestal, and the reason you do this first is because once the vacuum former is placed on, you will not be able to insert the screws. Once you've done that, you can come and put on your membrane, and you want to try and get this as flush with the pedestal as possible and avoid any creases. Once you've done that, you can go and put on your first O-ring, and for the purpose of this we have used a membrane stretcher just to make it easier. Once that's done, you can then use your first confining ring, and this ring will have slightly shorter screws, and you want to screw this just enough to compress the O-ring. Once that's done, you can put on your second O-ring, shortly followed by your second confining ring. Once you've done that, it's time to put on your Teflon coated rings, and I recommend using maybe 2 to 3 more rings more than the height of your sample. And then you can place on your silicone O-ring, and you want this to be just between the upper and lower confining ring. At this point it's time to put on your vacuum former, and you want to make sure this is flush with the base of the pedestal. And if during this your silicone O-ring starts to go down towards the pedestal, you can just use a little Allen key just to push it back up again. The reason you want to keep this at the midway point is to help maintain suction. When it comes to tightening this together, you do want it to be fairly tight. You want to try and minimise the gap between the 2 vacuum former pieces. And these screws, you want to make sure they're finger tight, as these will help to maintain the shape of the Teflon coated rings. And then it's time to pull over your membrane, and you want to try and have as little creases as possible and stretch it out as far as you can. Now we're going to attach our vacuum line, and hopefully suction should be applied. You want to measure using a caliper from the base of this pedestal to the top of the Teflon coated rings. You want to do this in 3 different parts of the pedestal and get an average. And now it's time to mark on the desired height of your specimen, and you use this as a guideline when you're preparing your sample. And now it's time to prepare your sample. For the purpose of this, we used the funnel to try and minimise spillage as much as possible, and we also used a dry compaction method. Once you've compacted your sample, it is now time to measure from the top of the Teflon coated rings to the top of your sample, and you do this from 3 different points of your sample. Once you have the average of this, you'll then minus this from the value you got earlier to get the average height of your sample. And now it's time to take your pedestal and place it into the EMDCSS, and you want to screw it down tightly. Prior to docking the sample, you should make sure that you've placed an O-ring on the top cap, and you also want to make sure that the top cap is aligned with the sample. So for the purpose of this, using our GDS Lab software, we're just going to apply a small docking load. Once the sample is docked, now it's time to pull up your membrane up onto the top cap. Once you've done that, you can pull down your O-ring to apply the seal. Once this is done, you can pull out the vacuum line. After that, you can then start to remove your vacuum former. That concludes how to prepare a sample for our EMDCSS machine. If you go to our website at www.gdsinstruments.com, you can keep up to date on the latest news, and we're hoping to release a few more videos using this machine in the next few weeks. Thanks for watching.